Welcome on in, everybody. My name is Josh from Josh Does Movies here, and today I'm going to be ranking all 9 episodes in the new series for Doctor Who that I got to watch on Disney+. If you like this type of content, please like and subscribe to the channel. I've given all my Doctor Who episode reviews here, as well as reviews to movies and other TV shows as well. But without further ado, let's get to my ranking of all 9 episodes in this season. First up, this pains me to say, but Empire of Death comes in for me at number 9. I can't hate the acting too much in this episode, especially the part with Ruby kind of finding her birth mother, but for me, Empire of Death left me unsatisfied as a season finale, with so many kind of storylines that were built up being bigger than it was, but ended up not fulfilling kind of those big hints and big foreshadowing moments that we got throughout the season. The idea of Ruby's mother being ordinary is perfectly fine, but we got really no explanation of the snow and why it snows. The pointing of the naming of the daughter makes no sense, as well as her wearing like a trader's like outfit. Legend of Ruby Sunday we'll talk later about, but this was a letdown of a finale for me, and even Suketh kind of just sat there and all we got was kind of a dusting on his side. I thought he went out very blandly for a villain per se, and overall I just felt this was the weakest of the whole season when it comes to storyline, and that's what I looked for most with this season, with a season finale. Number 8, Space Babies. The first kind of new episode that wasn't the Christmas special for this season was Space Babies, and this was perfectly fine. You had a little humor. The baby CGI was not that great overall, we can all admit that, but Space Babies wasn't the worst story in the world to start out with. You really get to understand the Doctor and his values. You first get that big hint of Ruby Sunday being maybe a bigger mystery than we ended up finding it to be. In the Bogeyman, you had that classic moment where the Doctor wants to save the creature that may be causing issues rather than, just killing it overall, because he's not that type of person. He wants to be a doctor. He wants to be a healer and a saver. He isn't here to cause death and destruction, which is why maybe he got so pained and later on in the season with what happened with Suketh. But overall, this story was just very generic. And compared to the rest of the season, there's a lot to live up to, in my opinion. At number 7 will be my most controversial opinion to some, but I have Rogue here. Don't get me wrong, the relationship dynamic between Jonathan Groff and Ncuti Gatwa's 15th Doctor with Rogue and the Doctor worked very well with their flirt, the flirting back and forth. Even the villains here I thought were decently well put out. But for this season, this episode for me, there was almost no connection between the Doctor and Ruby. And Ruby's storyline was so off-putting and so put on the wayside that we really didn't live up to my personal expectations for the finale part, where the Doctor feels like he's now going to cost Ruby her life. Obviously Rogue is able to save the day and allows her to survive, but it's just an episode that it's going to keep being low for me until I see Rogue come back. If Rogue comes back with Jonathan Groff, then this episode and that character gets built. This can move up to a higher ranking down the road, but until that happens, I'm leaving this at my number 7 spot because the story wasn't that great on Ruby's side. It's either going to be a one-off relationship, and if it is a one-off relationship, I feel like that wasn't great time, being spent in this season. And we didn't get too much with the villains per se, besides some interesting, fun performances, but it didn't feel what I wanted at this point in the Doctor Who season. I really wanted more of Ruby and the Doctor working together. Number 6. Church on Ruby Road was our first introduction to kind of both Ncuti Gatwa in a full episode and Millie Gibson as Ruby Sunday. And this is an episode I actually like a lot. I love the interaction that the Doctor ends up having with the one officer, kind of giving him a hint of like, hey, what's going on with his life. I thought the introduction between the Doctor and Ruby Sunday for a companion interaction was decently well done. I loved the musical bit there. The goblins were a just fun little easygoing Christmas type villain, and Ruby being her birthday being on Christmas and having the songs really, in my opinion, bookended a good Christmas special start to the season. It was fun. Ncuti Gatwa was a ball of energy, and I loved the Sundays in general. Cherry Sunday is just a star in her own, and we need to get her that tea. And ending it off with the Mrs. Flood kind of stinger at the end of haven't you ever seen a TARDIS before? There's a lot I like about this. It's not an outstanding episode overall, but for introducing a new companion, kind of introducing a new tone to the Doctor Who, getting people back interested in it, I think The Church on Ruby Road does its job very well, and it's why it's this ranking for me at number 6. Number 5 is The Devil's Chord. I love Jinx Monsoon's performance as Maestro. It probably goes down as the single best performance I like out of a villain or antagonist this whole entire season, and it brings so much energy and joy in terms of just a character-led performance. Obviously, things like the Beatles' involvement here is what maybe brings this episode down a bit for me, and I wish it was able to have a little bit more of them in the story. It feels kind of like a fail-safe, but the creativity of The Devil's Chord, Maestro's extravagant type performance, including the connection with the Toymaker, kind of leading you into what we've eventually found to be Sutekh, being the god of music. I think this delivers incredibly well, and it was nice to see the Doctor kind of be afraid of these gods a little bit, more than maybe I would have liked throughout the whole season, but definitely this gave a presence of like, this is uncharted territory for him. He doesn't know how he's going to handle it. Plus, we got our first mention of Susan, which might have been a red herring, but also, I think Susan's going to come up next season in Doctor Who, maybe even with the Christmas special. I doubt with the Christmas special, but I think Susan's going to be seen in season 2 of Doctor Who. Number 4, 73 Yards. This is an episode that actually got better for me, mainly because of the one positive I would probably say out of the Empire of Death, which is the connection of Ruby Sunday and this whole separate storyline. I really like the horror element of 73 Yards, especially the first scene when you're in when you're in Wales and you're at that tavern. I think that works very well. I wish we would have got more ideas on what was being said during 73 Yards and who that woman was. We assume it was Ruby, but also, was it Ruby and Nora Ruby? It's something that I thought built on Ruby's character a whole lot, and I just thought overall it was a well-crafted, companion-based episode. I think Millie Gibson gives her one of her best performances of the season over a full episode, and the storyline of Roger Ap William, I think, is something that's going to be played a lot more in season 2. Because he came back as somebody who was in the Empire of Death, somebody the Doctor realizes, I don't know why, but I'm kind of jumping on board the connection that he's going to be Ruby's kind of lost brother down the line, like a second brother or something. And I think that would make for a very interesting dynamic come season 2. And yeah, I just think this is an episode that they, needed to make better. Like I said with Rogue, it needs to have things added on to improve some of the basic qualities it had. And we absolutely got that with the rest of the season, the mentioning of an alternate timeline for Ruby. So 73 Yards takes that spot at number 4 for me. Number 3 for me is The Legend of Ruby Sunday. This was the cliffhanger episode that I felt built up a lot of great stakes. I love the dynamic in the kind of time window and seeing kind of what was going on with Ruby and the Doctor. I liked the question on Susan Triad and how they kind of made it obvious, like, of course you thought it was an anagram of TARDIS, so you thought it might be the TARDIS. Of course that you thought Susan was the name of his daughter, so maybe it was Susan. I like how it was building on that, and then it ended up being Sutekh in between. Kind of the way it leaves off as a big cliffhanger. You have Ruby going in the time window, turning it on just kind of from her time energy of that raw moment. You have the Doctor realizing he got everything wrong and he's kind of failing here. You got Sutekh showing themselves through Harriet and everybody at Unit. And it's just a well-crafted finale all the way through. Bonnie Langford as Mel shows up in different parts. I really enjoyed her scene with the Doctor when she's like, you need to get up and stop worrying, you need to fix this. And just the realization that Susan Twist and Susan Triad wasn't some, Time Lord incarnation of his granddaughter Susan, but was basically a creation of Sutekh to use as one of his angels of death. I thought this episode left off on a very good point and really gave the chance to deliver such a great finale. Obviously, Empire of Death did not live up to that hype, but I am going to give all the credit to Legend of Ruby Sunday of putting me in that place and building me there, because that is exactly what it was trying to do. At number 2 is an episode that gets better and better on rewatch, and that is Dot and Bubble. Oh, Lindy, Lindy, Lindy. I don't care if you like to sing about the polka dot bikini. You somehow are the biggest villain of this whole season, and that includes somebody who is the god of death wiping out the world, or the god of music taking music away from even everybody, including, say, the Beatles. Lindy and the story of Finetown with the slugs seems kind of comical at first, and it's definitely something that you're wondering, oh, this is kind of an interesting, silly Doctor Who story. Then you start picking up on tones of potential racism in there, which are only confirmed at the end. And then Ncuti Gatwa gives an amazing plea and just a heartfelt, just like raw emotion feel of as the Doctor is pleading with Ruby and the survivors of Finetown to come with me in my TARDIS. Allow me to save you. Let me save you. I don't care if you're horrible people. I don't care if you're judging me off the basis of what I look like. I want to save you because I'm the Doctor, and if you leave here, you're likely just going to die. And I just thought that moment from Ncuti Gatwa was so powerful, and it makes you go back and rewatch the whole episode of Dot and Bubble, and you see all these placements of like her blocking the Doctor right away, her being surprised that him and Ruby were allowed to be in the same room, her saying like, "Oh, I thought you just looked the same as the person I blocked before." You know, her being like, I thought you're supposed to be held somewhere when she first meets the Doctor. It's okay to talk with you over the chat in the bubble, but I'm not actually going to spend the same space time, go into your ship and share the same breath as you. Like, the levels here are so dynamic, and the subversion of thinking this is an episode, which still is having commentary on social media, turn into an episode that is really talking about how everyday racism may look. And I think, especially as a Caucasian person myself, you watch this episode and you wonder, like, man, that was kind of bad, but man, that was really kind of racist at the end, but I didn't feel like it was like that. And you go back and watch, and all those things that you think is just normal speech, you realize, no, that was racism, and that's how systematical racism survives nowadays in life. And little things that you may take as like everyday conversation points or everyday aggressions towards any individual person can be masking a deep-rooted hatred and a deep-rooted systematic racist just agenda or profile to it. So again, Dot and Bubble is one for me that continues to get better throughout the whole entire season, and I just absolutely love the performance of Lindy and how she ends up killing Ricky with the Dot being like, oh, his actual name is this. And I love just that actor being just so oblivious and just so evil. So evil, and that's all a big commentary on how good the acting was in that episode. And again, I'll keep going back. Like, this was the moment to me where like Ncuti Gatwa steeled himself as like the powerful, like he is going to be a great Doctor. With this scene alone, if you keep giving him opportunities to have these type of moments, it doesn't have to be about race, but these powerful moments where he's wanting to save people and he's showing the energy and he's getting that fierce Doctor energy. He has it. He has that in him. He is the Doctor. And I can't wait to see more of Ncuti, and I hope he gets more of these types of writing and stuff. Because when he gets them, he's brilliant at it. And that is why Dot and Bubble is my number 2 episode. And that means my number 1 episode of the season is Boom. And man, business was booming in this episode, like the Doctor said. This Stephen Moffat kind of closed episode off where we're seeing the Doctor have to manage everything going on in the world around him while on a landmine. The dialogue between Ruby Sunday and him, the dialogue between him and the inhabitants of this planet, with the army of the church. all the interesting things going on, the idea that this ambulance system and this system weapons company is actually kind of having them fight themselves and is using, just enough deaths. They're not saving people. They're keeping just enough people dying from this invisible species that they're supposedly going to war with, that they keep buying into the weapons company and they keep getting more money. It was such a brilliantly commentary type scene. I know it's not subtle, but I love the idea of when the ambulance is looking to kill people, they're saying thoughts and prayers, where it's like it's completely meaningless, kind of having a symbolism in society when so many people jump on the thought and prayer side. It's like that could help people, but you're also just saying that just to say it, to try and make them feel better, not because you're actually changing your actions or doing anything to help the situation. I truly, truly loved Boom, and knowing that Moffat is coming back for the Christmas special and hopefully more episodes in season 2, I'm very excited. Again, Boom was so just like tense from beginning to end. The standing, Ncuti Gatwa's performance on the landmine, Ncuti Gatwa being upset when people are potentially going to die, when he sees Ruby get hit, and his like that, even though Ruby's a bigger deal and she's already been confirmed for parts in season 2, and there's a whole half a season left with her, when you see Ruby get hit, you're like, oh my goodness, no, like, is she gonna be okay? The episode was written brilliantly, it was paced brilliantly, even though it was so self-contained in one small area, it felt lived in, it felt more expanse. The character dialogue, the character dynamics worked so well, and this was I know at last I said with Dot and Bubble, that was the first time I saw Ncuti give the over-the-top powerful, like, he's going to be a great doctor type acting performance if you give him the moments and the scripts for it. This was truly the first episode where I was like, okay, he is the Doctor. He is 100% like the Doctor. I don't feel like he's his own version of the character. This is the character that I've known play through many people, whether it's Jodie Whittaker, whether it's through Peter Capaldi, Matt Smith, David Tennant, Christopher Eccleston, Tom Baker. This is the person I understand is the Time Lord that has had so many generations, that it cares about saving people, but also understands the serious moments when serious moments come. And that is, for me, why Boom is my top episode of this series of Doctor Who. Tell me your rankings down below. Do you agree with me? Did I get some things wrong? How are your overall thoughts on the season? As a whole, I'm going to give Doctor Who, this new series, a solid platinum. I think there's a lot of diamond episodes in here, like things like, Dot and Bubble and Boom, but the payoffs on some of the storylines definitely brought the season overall down to a low platinum type level, but I still enjoyed it overall. I really do like Ncuti Gatwa as our 15th Doctor. I'm kind of sad to see Millie Gibson go a little bit as Ruby Sunday. She'll be taking a little bit of a step back, only because I feel like we never got to experience that character and that dynamic between Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor and Millie Gibson's Ruby Sunday as much as we should have. There was too many Doctor Light episodes and Companion Light episodes, or episodes where they didn't spend much time together. But that still doesn't take away from, I think, a lot of good, entertaining episodes. Yes, the finale was a letdown, but everything leading up to the finale I very much enjoyed and had a great blast with, and that's why this series of Doctor Who gets a platinum. And yeah, we'll see you for Christmas. But until then, like and subscribe to the channel and check out some of my other TV show reviews like The Boys or House of Dragon going on right now, or my movie reviews that I have here for most of the bigger movies that come out into theaters. I'll be covering Big Brother in a few weeks as that new season pops up, as well as Survivor this fall. But until then, I hope you all have a good day.